wanted to do this video about Starbucks and unconscious biases because there are a few things that really stood out for me. A few things such as questions, such as how long can a person sit before ordering? Can a person wait for a friend before ordering? Will there be a waiting room monitor to dictate who's sitting without ordering? And this whole trespassing, what does that mean? Well, it connects the meaning of invading or intruding. So were the customers invading and intruding that space? Yes, the manager has the right to call 911, and then the police has a duty to come out and check on that 911 call. But here's where it really prompted me to do this video, just to brainstorm and just to give my 2 cents about this, is that they were arrested and I believe they were charged. I'm not quite sure, but that's where, it really gets interesting because, the information that's out there is that they were sitting there and, they were asked to leave, but being arrested and charged is another issue. Another point that stood out is the whole usage of the words racism and biases, because racism is more connected or has connotation towards hatred, and biases has those same connotations, but also it's more of a lighter undertone as an unfair. But anyway, this whole racism can be unconscious or overt, out in the open. Please see Jane Elliott experiment in her work regarding racism and how it's taught, because the unconscious racism is heavy and it's around. And what's helping out so much is the smartphones, and that we're able to capture racism or gestures or situations like this so that it can be more aware, and that we can see it and understand, at least attempt to understand it, and at least attempt to deal with it and solve some of the issues. So yes, the smartphones and all of that is helping out a lot. But anyway, racism and biases is often taught sometimes and even caught. So meaning that yes, people are raised, taught this way of thinking and behaving, and some people pick it up wherever they are on their jobs or at school. But I want to talk a little bit about the unconscious racism. It's because people are not aware sometimes, that they are being racist, and that goes for the white and Black people. But primarily, I'm not talking about the minorities, but people are raised in a household where they watch their parents, uncles, and family behave in a racial way, think, speak, and feel in a racial way. So those unconscious actions are learned. And then when they grow up, they go out into the workforce or wherever they go, functioning in the way that they have learned, in the way that they have dealt. Say, for example, you have a 30-year-old person who, get through college. Well, still that's an issue or place that they can behave in those ways. But let's say they go to work, and some of the coworkers recognize and maybe even report that this 30-year-old person is behaving in an inclusive way or a racial way. And sometimes they may not understand or see it because they probably have this conversation with themselves, is that this is how my mother did it, this is how my father, and this is how my whole family did it, and it's a part of me. So hopefully the training will help, but it seems like it's a little bit more that needs to take place, because I've had people even tell me that, hey, but this is who I am. I can't, this is me, and this is how I was taught and everything like that, and that they don't want to change, and that's how it's going to be because that's how they did it so many years. So we're dealing with that whole concept of this is me, this is how it is, this is how my father did it, and a little bit of superiority where that their way of being and doing is how it should be done. So yeah, so the question is, what do we do? Well, this whole situation has been around for years. I mean, if we even want to think way back, where far as we can think, you know, there's always been, even, let's see, BC, before Christ, where you have the oppressed group, you know, the people who are enslaved, and you have another group who's over them or suppressing. So this whole concept has been around for years. Not to say that nothing can be done. You know, there has been times when we, as I am African American, but we as a race, we have overcome some things. So there has been periods in time where we have overcome, but it seems like we're taking 2 steps back within the 2-step back process. So it's like we go forward a little bit and then we trickle back. We go forward a little bit and trickle back. So I do believe that we are outnumbered. We have minimal resources. We are not all on the same page. That last point about we are not on the same page is that within the Black community, or as a Black race, you know, we're all different. We have different perspectives and different viewpoints. And maybe if we could get a little bit closer on the same page, that could be one of the big answers to solving this problem. If we all can get closer to the same page in strengthening our ourselves as a race. But anyway, that's my 2 cents, and I hope that I can get some collaboration and sharing what you think about that. But the main point I really wanted to point out is that the unconscious biases or racism, it is taught, it is ingrained, and either people are willing to challenge their thinking about it, or they won't. So that's where that's at. I'm not sure how this training is going to help, you know, the people or the workers at Starbucks or wherever they're getting this training at. It's just, I think it's their willingness to change. Do they want to change? Because part of changing, it has a little bit to do with caring about how you treat people. And like I said before, I've had people tell me that they don't want to change, and that's how they're going to, you know, be. At that point, when that is said, or that when people have that perspective, that's when it makes it a little bit more challenging to change and to make a difference. Thank you so much for listening.